Okay, guys. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Andrii Aleksandrov. I am Principal DevOps Engineer in Sigma Software, and today we are gonna talking about the knowledge transfer. Actually, it will be some sort of more philosophical lecture, but as well, we will also consider some practical aspects of knowledge transfer, which we could use to improve our project our projects, to improve our own performance and all the things which we actually bring as DevOps to the projects and project development itself. So let's go here. Here we have our agenda table. It's the main topics we want to talk about. And as I already mentioned, we also consider some practical aspects of implementation of knowledge transfer in the company. First of all, let me back us to the roots. DevOps, it's not only a position, it's not only a technical role, it's not a guy who came to the project and bring some CI/CD stuff and other automation. DevOps, first of all, it's a philosophy which ensures that the team works together like a single organism on a project, and it also ensures that we destroy the gaps between development and operations. As well, it's also not development and operations, but all other gaps which should be eliminated. So that's why we implement this more like a philosophy, not like a thing like CI/CD. So main goal of DevOps, it's a creation of cross-functional team, this shared responsibility. We all together deliver the project, and this is the one of important thing which we will talk about today. One of the crucial items in building such team, it's a knowledge transfer. Knowledge transfer, it's not only about writing documentation. It has various different aspects, which we will talk about today. These practices, like knowledge transfer, could be utilized mostly on a long-term projects, not on projects like we came here for a half of year, but anyway, long-term projects which goes with significant amount of time, which is how to tell it better, which requires such transfer, because short-term projects mostly have single team, and this single team work on this project is already aware of all aspects of this project, but some of these practices could also be used in such projects as well. So let's go further and ask ourselves, why knowledge transfer is important? Why knowledge actually is important? Actually, what can we have if we just forget about this? Everybody in the team is a professional. We know that we have our responsibilities, and we just held our knowledge. And here we came to the main problem of the knowledge lack. It leads us to different problems like skill imbalance. Some team know how to deal with software, some team members, some not. It's leads us to employee turnover when some of the guys could just leave the company, and they also take all that knowledge that we have with themselves, and that's a big problem. It's a dependency on a single expert. When we have expert who held all the knowledge and don't want to share it, actually this man became a bus factor, and that's a problem for the whole team. It could also lead us to inefficient workflows, some communication breakdowns, outdated knowledge. It's a really big problem because I don't know, guys, but when you came to the new team, for example, and they told you, okay, we have wiki, just go there, and you go there, inspect some articles, and after that just understands that half of that articles is really outdated. You can't use this knowledge. So knowledge lack could bring us a lot of problems. And what should we do to eliminate such thing, and how DevOps and DevOps philosophy could help with this? Actually, DevOps philosophy encourages communication and collaboration. I also bring here some quote from Agile Manifesto. Individuals and interactions is more important things than all other stuff. They're important than processes, than tools, than any approaches which you want to use. So people, it's a must. People, it's a common. And what DevOps brings here, one of the crucial DevOps things, it's mentorship. We could teach our team how to act in a DevOps philosophy and how to deal with DevOps approaches, how it could help us. For example, mentors could be considered like not mentors, but mentorship itself could be considered in 4 layers, like an earth. For example, we have our inner core. It's a cultural transformation. It means that all the things starts from the culture. It's leadership development. We could grow our leaders who could help us to spread the DevOps philosophy across the team. It could be considered like an outer core. Knowledge transfer. Knowledge transfer, it's like our Monty. It's a process which share the knowledge across the team members and help them to enrich goals in the most proper way. And our best practices, it's like our craft, which help us to do things more effectively. And let's go to more practical aspects. First of all, we already understand that we have needs of knowledge transfer, and now we should see how we could go with this process. First of all, it could be considered as 2 layers, like layer of cultural and technical. From the cultural layer, when you identifying the areas which is required knowledge transfer, you could at first evaluate your cultural aspects, which means that you need to understand, is your team is collaborative, is your team has shared responsibility, it has culture of continuous improvement. If not, maybe there is some cultural trainings is required. You should gather feedback from the team members to understand, do they have any problems with cultural and technical stuff which we deal over the daily activities. You could identify your skill gaps. Actually, when some team members could deal with certain software and other teams can't deal with this could lead us to the knowledge imbalance problem, as well as some silos which should be eliminated. And collaboration with experts. You could consult with some third-party guys who has huge experience, who could assess your team and understand where is the problems and where you need the knowledge transfer. And we also don't need to forget about the technical aspects of our knowledge transfer. You need to assess your current practices. You need to understand what practices at the moment I use it for deployment, for building software, for keeping documentation and all other stuff, and understand where you have some gaps. You should analyze your toolchain usage as well. Toolchain usage, it's a really huge thing, because, for example, you have some tool which is utilized in your development process. And this tool is just a thing where some guys utilize only small part of this tool, or they utilize it wrongly. It's also a common problem, and this is the area where knowledge transfer could bring us more power. Review incident reports. When you're reviewing your incident reports, you understand any repeatable problems which you could have. And in these incident reports, you can find areas which could be covered by knowledge transfer. For example, you have some breaks, which is lead, for example, for inefficient deployments or some other stuff. You have this repeatedly. It should be described in your incidents and postmortems, and after that you could understand, okay, this is a repeatable problem, here the area of knowledge which we should transfer, okay, we need to help this somehow, and examine documentation. As I already mentioned previously, we often have the outdated documentation which should be continuously updated. So when we examine this documentation, we understand, okay, this area is not covered, this area is outdated, this area needs some improvements. Here we utilize new technology, okay? So this documentation should be updated, and this is one of the ways of our knowledge transfer. After all of this stuff, you can have, for example, something like this matrix. You have a bunch of activities and tasks. You have information regarding documentation, if this area is covered by documentation, and some sort of description, what points you find when you're examining all that areas we mentioned previously. So here you have a list of areas. You have everything which you discovered, and in such table you could understand, okay, I need to cover this. So what else we could utilize to understand our gaps and our areas of knowledge transfer? First of all, I want to remind you regarding the existence of the well-known management thing, which is called RACI matrices. Responsible, accountable, consulted, informed. This is a well-known instrument which describes the roles and responsibilities on the project. So how they can help us in identifying of all this stuff. Here we have typical RACI matrix for DevOps and DevOps team. Here we have some activities. Here we have some responsible persons. Here we have some accountable people. Here we have some guys who should be consulted before we implement this activity or task. And here we have some informed people who should be informed about such activities. And we have this thing, what we can get from this matrix. First of all, this matrix can give us zones of responsibility. This zone, it's a thing where we already stuck the single person. It's responsible person. Actually, I don't mean that we don't need to use responsibility at all, but this responsibility should not be assigned to only one person. This activity should be shared. And what we have from this thing, let's just add some colors. Here we have a bunch of areas. Area which hard to transfer. This means that this activity requires some specific sort of skills and knowledge, which is require a lot of time to achieve. So this area can't be transferred. Also, we have some information which can be transferred. Some activities can be transferred with some additional training. For example, here we have implement infrastructure as code. It's a simple thing. Actually, developers already have their experience with their code. Why don't teach them to utilize utilities like Terraform, Pulumi, Ansible, any kind of the things which could help our developers don't rely on DevOps engineer, but also be more responsible and create desired infrastructure with their own hands. Actually, they could just create pull request. That's as simple as that. And also we have activities which can be transferred easily, like creation of deployment pipelines. Developers already aware of the pipelines. They already know how they should look like. Why don't give them possibility to create that pipelines by themselves? So we could focus on harder topics, which is require more specific skill set. So that's one of the way how we can assess our Raki matrix in term of skills and knowledge transferability. So we understand the areas, we find the areas which we need to transfer, where we could transfer our knowledge, where we could share our knowledge, and it's a time to organize all this stuff. First of all, we want to deal with all this stuff in a pretty standard way. First of all, we need to set clear objectives for that knowledge transfer. This means that we should clearly understand why we're doing such activities. We should identify knowledge providers and recipients. We should understand who will give the information, who will receive the information. We should create knowledge transfer plan, which describes all the things in one place. So we have all this stuff. We choose proper knowledge transfer methods. This means that we should understand what activities are expected during that knowledge transfer. We should schedule all this stuff. We should define the place. We should define the time, and all this is also important. And after that, knowledge transfer, it's not a one-time job. It's a thing which should go continuously. So we should collect feedback and iterate all over this stuff, like in typical DevOps iteration phase. Here I want to focus a little bit on the few key points which could help you to create that activities more significantly. First of all, how we could create knowledge transfer plan. What should it include? So, content, which topics and materials should be covered. Methods. Regarding picking proper methods, it's the next part of this slide. Schedule. We should understand how often and regularly we will schedule we will do our activities, and when and how. Responsibilities. We should define roles and responsibilities for knowledge providers, recipients, facilitators. For example, it could be some sort of workshop where you need some guys who will act as mediators between recipients and providers of knowledge. And resources. You should have all the necessary tools, all the materials. You should have understanding and all the technologies which you use with this knowledge transfer. For example, like this presentation itself and like this conference. it also requires some tool set. And how we choose knowledge transfer methods? There are a bunch of them. We should pick proper, because some of the transfer methods can be really different, and these transfer methods applicable only for only for specific things. For example, we could go with training sessions. We could go with creation of documentation. Sometimes documentation is completely enough. We could go with mentorship. For example, it's a thing which require months or 2 or maybe 3 to properly transfer that knowledge. So that's why mentor will be the best choice. Pair programming sessions. For example, we already teach our developers how to use infrastructure as code or how to create pipeline. And we could go with pair programming just to ensure that everything is fine. Or some kind of workshops where we give the guys possibility to make their own failures and show how they understand all this stuff, as well as with updating their knowledge. So let's go here and understand that we scheduled our activities. Now we should somehow track all this stuff. That's the point where ramp matrix can help us. Here we have that activity and task. We have recipient of our knowledge. We have accountable person who is responsible to give all the information. We have chosen method, and we have tracking of progress. With such matrix, you could easily assess your current status of the knowledge transfer activities. You could understand what's going on, and you could also have that nice overview of all this stuff. So actually here I have an example of such matrix, which was just from one of my projects. I came to the team where that process was not established. This means DevOps is just do DevOps stuff, developers only develop, QAs only verify quality of code, and that's and product, and that's it. It's not a DevOps philosophy where we all works on the single product and we're all responsible on delivering such product to the customers. So that's why we make some assessment, and this assessment show us that we have a bunch of activities which only available for one responsible person. This means that if something was happened with this person, we lost this knowledge. He won't to go away. He just sit. It's simple bus factor. So we write all the responsibilities. We assessed all the stuff, and we also showed that who is partially responsible for such activities and who is fully responsible for such activities. Actually, this help us to understand the gaps and how these gaps can be eliminated. And here we also added 2 more columns with QA and developers. And we assessed all this stuff with colors, which I showed you from Raki matrices. And after that, we decided, okay, here we have QAs, here we have developers. We could transfer this knowledge and fill this matrix. So after that, you will have nice, clear overview, understanding of what activities you have on this project, what activities already transferred, what activities hard to transfer, and this is bus factor. It's a nice overview of the roles and responsibilities and knowledge status as well. So that's the thing. Actually, guys, I also want to mention on that slide that this matrix is just for DevOps, but you could also utilize such approach to cover any other areas. For example, developers create make files or maybe some kind of build scripts. Why? DevOps can do this. For example, QAs have responsibility over performance testing. Why also they don't work collaboratively with DevOps to understand what points can be improved? This is all about the knowledge, and this is all about the final result, our project, our software, which we bring to our customer and which give him the best experience which we could provide. So we transferred our process, our knowledge, we transferred some responsibilities, and we need to understand how to verify all this stuff, because it's often thing when you told somebody how to do such thing, you already explained to them everything, you conduct, for example, some session, and after that he forgets about this in a week. This means that we don't verify that this knowledge is acquired properly. We should do this regularly, and after each knowledge transfer process, we should understand how to verify all this stuff. So regarding the verifying of knowledge transfer results, we have few things which we should establish. First of all, you should establish metrics and KPIs regarding verifying of knowledge transfer activities. So it could be, for example, some sort of assessment. You transfer the knowledge, and after that give for the guys some simple quiz. But actually, I don't really like such approach, because it requires some sort of examination or learning, any kind of the things which could give us not so good experience. So that's why I prefer other method, which is performance metrics. For example, before knowledge transfer activities, we had deployment time 1 hour. After knowledge transfer activities, deployment time decreased to 30 minutes. This is a metric which gives us understanding that we improved our performance in 50%. And that's cool. We could also gather feedback. We could ask guys, what you understand, what is not so clear, what things should be covered next. And feedback is crucial thing which we should examine. We could also collect peer reviews and validation. Sometimes more experienced colleagues from our teams could help us, and they have closer view. They understand that some of their colleagues don't have clear understanding of all this stuff, so they could review and validate all these things within their teams. And continuous monitoring. As I already mentioned, knowledge transfer is an ongoing process. To continuously monitor performance and progress of the knowledge recipients over time, we need to ensure that the knowledge is consistently retained and applied. So we should monitor this stuff as well. We should understand, okay, we have new activities. These activities is not covered by knowledge transfer. For example, DevOps is bringing new software. They know how to work with this, but other teammates not. That means they need to schedule all this stuff. Okay, I lead all these things to the thing which I mentioned in the early beginning of this presentation, to the shared responsibility. Shared responsibility in focus of knowledge transfer. It's a crucial thing that gives the team understanding that we working with a holistic approach. We consider our project as a a single organism. It's a single product. Infrastructure, it's a part of our product. Code, it's a part of our product. Quality, it's also part of our product. All the team should work together to get all these things consistently working and to bring the best experience to our customers. So how knowledge transfer relies to all this stuff? First of all, knowledge transfer can keep our team on the single page. It could help us to understand which areas of knowledge spread across the team, which not. Knowledge transfer help us to implement one of the most important thing of DevOps culture to the team. So we have that shared responsibility. Shared responsibility is a model. It's not just a buzzword. And regarding that shared responsibility model, we should maintain it as well. As I already told previously, shared responsibility is not mean that nobody is responsible. We have responsible person, but it could be not person, but persons. So we should break down our responsibilities and spread them across the team. We should assign them. After that, we could transfer our knowledge. We could assess our knowledge and understand which areas should be covered, which activities can be transferred across the team to make it really on the same page. And after that, we need to monitor and refine responsibilities. It could be drawn as a circle. We understand, okay, we already have QAs who knows how to deal with failed CI of their testing pipeline. We already know devs who can create some parts of infrastructure for themselves, by themselves. So what else we could do, for example? Okay, let's give them some awareness regarding the monitoring and logging systems to understand why logs, for example, not parsed properly and how to deal with this. And all other stuff which could lead us to a really cross-functional team who held the full responsibility of the product, the whole team, not a single person for a single part of the product, but a whole team for a whole product. So that's mostly all I want to talk about. And if you have any kind of questions, I will be glad to answer them. Okay, guys. So I think that's probably all. Thank you for your time. Thank you for attending this meeting. I hope this presentation could be useful for you and you have a little bit more understanding regarding the knowledge transfer activities and processes which you could implement within your team. So thank you for your time and see you.